Hello and welcome. You're watching Good Morning India. I'm Gargi Rawat. We have lots lined up ahead for you. Coming up, the latest on the Congress PK saga. Yes, more information is still coming out.
Yes, that's right, Gargi. And good morning. I'm Priyanshi. Along with that, we also have the Chief Ministers responding to the Prime Minister's remarks on fuel prices. That and more on this show. Let's first get started with the headlines.
Now, sources in the Congress say that Rahul Gandhi on day one had predicted that Prashant Kishor would not join the party, that many leaders felt that the strategist wanted to use the Congress for leverage.
Senior Congress leader P. Chidambaram told NDTV that the leadership issue of the party was not included in the election strategist Prashant Kishor's presentation, which included very impressive data.
After the Prime Minister's comments asking states to reduce their tax on fuel, Chief Ministers hit back, say how will states earn anything, also demand dues owed to states by the centre.
Congress leader Siddharamaiah said that Hindi will never be the national language, reacting to actor Ajay Devgan's spat with Kannada actor Kicha Sudeep.
The unprecedented heat wave across India in April. Temperatures rise by 2 degrees over the next 3 days.
As Telangana Rashtra Samiti turned 21, party president K. Chandrasekhar Rao says that his party would now play a national role.
All right, let's get started, and more details now emerging on the entire PK Congress saga. Party sources have said that Rahul Gandhi had on day one predicted that Prashant Kishor won't join the Congress, and many leaders felt the strategist wanted to use the Congress for leverage with other parties.
Those sources do say, the sources that are close to Prashant Kishor say that they countered this by saying that the doubts and misgivings were mutual. Prashant Kishor or PK was offered the functional responsibility of election management in the empowered Congress committee. He rejected the offer on Tuesday. PK wanted to be either political secretary to the Congress president or vice president, sources said. It was also PK who sought out Congress leaders and asked for a meeting to make his presentation on a roadmap to resurrect the grand old party, as per sources. And Sunil Prabhu joins us for more on this story. Sunil, give us more details. There were some reports earlier as well that Rahul Gandhi had misgivings. Now there are some more reports. So what more can you tell us on this story?
Well, as we've been reporting, there has been a lot, the details are emerging now about those deliberations that took place. Clearly, the first day of the presentation when Prashant Kishor went and made that presentation, and we must put this in perspective, it was Prashant Kishor who was keen on putting this presentation. He went to Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, used the Congress President Sonia Gandhi, and wanted it to be before senior Congress leaders. So on Saturday, this presentation was made. Rahul Gandhi was present, and then it was decided that a small committee will be set up. On that day itself, Rahul Gandhi made it clear that this is not the first time that he's offered and to join the party, and he will reject the decision. But even then, with all seriousness, the Congress committee sat, deliberated from that Saturday onwards till Thursday, and even two chief ministers participated to hear Prashant Kishor and his proposals and his decision. And on Thursday at 3 o'clock, they submitted their report to the Congress president. It's in that backdrop that we've seen and we've asked why did they do it, because clearly the Congress has come out bruised in this entire matter. They said very categorically right from day one, Mr. Prashant Kishor had made it clear that he did not hold and was not a majority shareholder of IPAC, which is, I think, very critical, which we seem to be missing the point. And he made it clear that IPAC will do nothing that he doesn't want it to do. So it's in that backdrop that the Congress went ahead, had these deliberations, looked at it. We had great data, as we've been pointing out for many days now, and which was pointed out in this interview to P. Chidambaram, by P. Chidambaram. And it's in that backdrop that they were very, very categorical that one way or the other, Prashant Kishor was wanting too much of a space, an independent space, wanted to be political secretary, whereas for people who have been in the Congress have had to struggle. A person who has been vice president of JDU can't suddenly want and become such a senior post without being through an overview system, and that's the reason for the breakdown.
Right, but Sunil, so now what next for the Congress? Now things gearing up for the Chintan Baitak?
That's right. So various groups have already been convened. There have been 6 groups. Decisions are being taken on the organization to make it a little bit more vibrant, because as you can see, decision making is delayed. There has been clearly a huge issue in terms of participatory management. A lot of suggestions have been given by the dissenters. They are also part of that organizational group which has been formed, apart from a host of other issues. So one by one and states by states, they will have to start reviving at the grassroots level if the Congress has to be in the reckoning in the years to come. So it has faced election defeat. It's at its lowest. And it's in that backdrop, Gargi, that they have to take those decisions.
Right. Thanks, Sunil, for joining us on that story of PK joining Congress or not joining Congress. Now, we'll stay with that. In fact, senior Congress leader P. Chidambaram, in an interview to NDTV, said that despite much speculation, the leadership issue of the party was not one that was included in election strategist Prashant Kishor's presentation to the party.
There had been some speculation around that and his suggestions on leadership. Now, P. Chidambaram said that the presentation included very impressive data and analysis, adding that the party might take action on some of the proposals.
Why did talks between your party and PK break down ultimately?
Well, I heard your intro. There was no breakdown. We offered him a place in the Empowered Action Group. He said that he was not in a position to be part of an Empowered Action Group, and therefore the matter was closed. Maybe he wants to still retain his independence as a consultant advisor. See, after all, he is advising several other political parties, or he or his organization, IPAC, is advising. In fact, they signed an agreement with the TRS the day before we made the offer. I believe he is continuing to advise the Trinamool Congress.
All right, and IPAC is also advising the TRS, and more news on that as the Telangana Rashtra Samiti turned 21. Party President K. Chandrasekhar Rao made 2 dramatic announcements.
Yes, he declared that he does not intend to form any political front and that his party would now play a national role. Uma Sudhir reports.
Telangana Rashtra Samiti President K. Chandrasekhar Rao says he is not looking to form a political front along with other parties.
కావాల్సింది రావాల్సింది రాజకీయ ఫ్రంట్లు కాదు, చాలా వచ్చినాయి ఫ్రంట్లు. సెకండ్ ఫ్రంట్, ఫస్ట్ ఫ్రంట్, నేషనల్ ఫ్రంట్, మన ఫ్రంట్ అన్ని వచ్చినాయి. ఏమి సాధించినాయి? ఏం జరిగింది? ఇలా దేశానికి కావాల్సింది ప్రత్యామ్నాయ ఎజెండా.
At the Pink Party's 21st Formation Day plenary, a resolution has in fact been passed saying that TRS intends to play a key role in national politics in the coming days.
It's a coming of age of TRS. It's entering, should I say, adulthood at 21. And at this stage, from the domestic politics of just Telangana, KCR has made his intent that we intend to go out and conquer more of the world.
Party President K. Chandrasekhar Rao, who has already said he would play a role in national politics, hinted that party leaders want the TRS to go national. That was met with loud cheers.
దేశం బాగుపడడానికి ఒకవేళ మన రాష్ట్రం నుంచి ఏదైనా ప్రారంభం జరిగితే అది మనందరి గర్వకారణం.
There is no reference to Prashant Kishor or the deal with IPAC, but TRS passed resolutions opposing what it called communal politics attempt to keep states financially weak, and the alleged use of the governor's office to fight political battles. In Hyderabad, with camera person Nagaraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
In other news now, chief ministers reacted sharply to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's request on Wednesday asking states to reduce state taxes on petroleum products during a COVID review meeting he was having with the chief ministers.
Chief ministers of Bengal, Maharashtra and Chhattisgarh accused the centre of meting out a stepmotherly treatment and not clearing the dues it owes to the states.
The Prime Minister met with chief ministers on the COVID situation, but then on a live telecast singled out opposition ruled states for not cutting taxes on petrol and diesel, whereas the centre had done so last November.
कि पिछले साल नवंबर महीने में वैट कम करने की बात की थी, सबको मैंने प्रार्थना की थी, लेकिन कई राज्य, मैं यहां किसी की आलोचना नहीं कर रहा हूं, कुछ राज्यों ने बात को माना, कुछ राज्यों ने नहीं माना। अब कई राज्य जैसे महाराष्ट्र, पश्चिम बंगाल, तेलंगाना, आंध्र प्रदेश, तमिलनाडु, केरला, झारखंड, किसी न किसी कारण से उन्होंने इस बात को नहीं माना।
The opposition shot back, pointing out there has been an excise hike on every litre which goes to the centre.
उन्होंने कहा कि पेट्रोल डीजल का जो भाव बढ़ा है डोमेस्टिक गैस पूरा स्टेट को ऊपर में उन्होंने दे दिया कि स्टेट को ही कमाना है। स्टेट कैसे कमाएगा?
Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray accused the centre of stepmotherly treatment and says the centre owes the state over 26,500 crores.
I think the Prime Minister was not given all the details by the concerned departments. I will not think that the Prime Minister will purposefully say this. Kerala, we never increased, since the last 6 years, we never increased the taxes.
What kind of a cooperative federalism which only has a one-way traffic? Cooperative federalism is a two-way traffic. Perhaps the Prime Minister should go back to his civics books again. What is he talking about? 26 lakh crores he has earned out of central excise, the central government has earned on petrol and diesel. Has he shared it?
However, the centre says it's spending revenue from petrol on diesel, on free food, free vaccines, cash transfers and rising fertilizer costs. It's not the first time a Prime Minister has requested states to reduce taxes on petroleum products. In fact, this has been a bone of contention between the centre and the state. And with a political point being made, we'll have to wait and see who will blink first to reduce the burden on the common man. With bureau inputs and camera person Pooja Arya, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
And in the centre-state arguments on fuel taxes, Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel also chimed in. He said that the centre increases taxes while tells the states not to.
सवाल इस बात का है कि आप रेट बढ़ाएं और राज्यों को कम करने कहें, ये बात तो समझ नहीं आती। और यदि कम करना है तो सेस जो लगाए हैं, 2 साल से सेस लगा हुआ है, 4% सेस ले रहे हैं, वो राज्यों को मिलता नहीं, उसका हिस्सा नहीं मिलता। 42% एक्साइज ड्यूटी का राज्यों को देते हैं, ये प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा, लेकिन आंकड़े बताते हैं कि कभी आपने एक्साइज ड्यूटी जो 42% राज्यों को देना है वो पूरा नहीं किया।
And even Tamil Nadu's finance minister has reacted and he gave a rebuttal to the Prime Minister's plea that was made yesterday during that COVID meeting, and he says remove levy of cesses, surcharges and merge with basic tax so states get rightful share. With GST, states have lost powers to levy taxes. States face double whammy due to COVID. Tamil Nadu had cut 3 rupees VAT on petrol at an annual loss of 1,160 crore even before the centre cut. Revenue to union government has increased a manifold, no matching revenue increase for state. The centre has increased the cess and surcharge but has reduced basic excise duty shareable with states. With GST, states have lost powers to levy taxes and states are facing a double whammy. So many reactions, as you can see, many responses from chief ministers and finance ministers to the Prime Minister's advice yesterday, request rather made at that meeting where he's asked the states to reduce tax, to reduce the burden on the common man. All right, well, let's now get this little spat or debate over national language that seems to come up again and again. And now former Karnataka Chief Minister and Congress leader Chidambaram has also waded into this spat between Bollywood actor Ajay Devgan and Kannada actor and filmmaker Kicha Sudeep over language.
Yes, Chidambaram has said Hindi will never be the national language. He also urged every Indian to respect the linguistic diversity of India. He wrote, Hindi was never and will never be our national language. It is the duty of every Indian to respect the linguistic diversity of our country. Chidambaram tweeted, each language has its own rich history for its people to be proud of. I am proud to be a Kannadiga.
So let's tell you more about the spat that took place, into which Chidambaram has waded in with his views there. Bollywood actor Ajay Devgan and Kannada actor and filmmaker Kicha Sudeep had engaged in an argument of sorts on the microblogging platform over this much debated topic of the national language. Hindi is no more our national language is what Sudeep had said at a film launch event last week, where he was talking about the success of KGF Chapter 2, that was a dubbed film. Ajay Devgan, who recently starred in filmmaker S.S. Rajamouli's pan-India blockbuster RRR, tagged the Karnataka-based actor on Twitter, and then he wrote, Hindi was and is and always will be our national language. So Ajay Devgan there reacting to what Sudeep had said, and then Sudeep in fact responding to that and said, Ajay, the context to why I said that line is entirely different to the way I guess it has reached you. So there he's trying to, just patch it over, but Chidambaram now wading in. All right, and with that, time for us to slip into a short break.
Another top story this morning, heatwave conditions across many parts of the country are affecting lives and livelihoods of multiple people across states.
That's right, from a low crop yield when it comes to wheat, also schools having to shut down because of the heat. Alok Pandey and Mohammad Ghazali report.
Soaring temperatures in many parts of India and no respite likely soon. In Punjab, where the temperature today was 40 to 42 degrees and will rise by a further 2% in the next 2-3 days, the big worry is the wheat harvest. Major Singh, an elderly farmer in Moga, says the unprecedented heat has coincided with the harvest season, and this has led to shriveled grain and an almost 5% reduction in yield per hectare. A cumulative loss of 10 to 15,000 rupees for farmers like him.
50 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਖੇਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਉਰੇ ਮਾਰ ਝਾੜ ਦੀ ਵੱਧ ਪਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਗਰਮੀ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਤੇ ਤੇਲ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਹਿੰਗਾ ਸੀ 15-16,000 ਰੁਪਇਆ ਖਰਚਾ ਵੀ ਕਿੱਲੇ ਮਗਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਣਕ ਦਾ.
The Punjab government says average wheat yield has fallen to 43 quintals per hectare this year, down from 48.68 quintals per hectare last year, and the lowest in the last 5 years.
ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਲਾਈਏ ਇਹ ਮੌਸਮ ਦੇ ਡਿਪੈਂਡ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟਾਰਗੇਟ ਹੈ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ 30 ਤੋਂ 32% ਘੱਟ ਹੋਇਆ.
The intense heat is affecting other aspects of life too. Most districts in Odisha have temperatures well over 40 degrees, 5 degrees more than normal in some parts. And so schools and Anganwadis, both essential for child nutrition and both already badly affected by COVID, have shut till month end. In UP, the searing heat has led to massive power cuts, especially in small towns and rural areas, like Hardoi, at 41 degrees today, 2.5 degrees more than normal, where the lights were out all day at this government school.
लाइट के ना आने से तो बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत होती है और खासकर जिस समय बच्चे एमडीएम के बाद खाना खाने के बाद पानी पीते हैं तो उस समय क्योंकि मोटर न चलने से पानी टंकी में भर रहता नहीं है और क्योंकि हैंड पाइप की व्यवस्था है तो उसमें एक हैंड पाइप में और ढेर सारे बच्चे आ जाते हैं तो बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत होती है. इसके लिए लाइट के न आने से उधर कमरों में जो पंखे भी नहीं चलते हैं, बच्चे गर्मी में हैं वो अपना नहीं है तो दफ्ती या किताब से पंखा करते रहते हैं.
There appears to be no respite in sight anywhere from these soaring temperatures. The temperatures in Delhi are expected to touch 46 degrees in the coming days according to the Met Department. The heatwave in Punjab and Haryana is expected to continue till the first week of May. With Mohammad Ghazali, Mohammad Asif and camera person Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
And moving on to LIC, after Air India, it is going to be the next big ticket disinvestment event. But there is a fair degree of economic uncertainty due to global events that has led to changes in the manner the LIC IPO was going to happen.
Right. In fact, many still feel the time is not exactly right, but lesser shares on the market and a reduced value are among concerns. The government says it's doable even now, and the LIC stake sale is not only the transaction to meet its disinvestment targets.
This is the largest IPO. Life Insurance Corporation, or LIC, announced the largest public offering of shares ever in India. 22.13 crores shares from 4th to the 9th of May. Officials in charge defended the move. Given the valuation of 6 lakh crores is sharply down from 12 to 14 lakh crores just 2 months ago. The offering of shares worth rupees 21,000 crore or 3.5% stake is down from the 60,000 crore or 5% stake reported in the initial documents, and the delay from the last financial year to now. The government cites the challenging economic situations.
These are all guesstimates which are, I think people are speculating. The valuation process is essentially a discovery process. Mr. Ashok was telling about the embedded value. I think it's even difficult for us to decipher, although we have been exposed to that. I would say that this is a fair and attractive valuation.
However, critics of the government were not impressed with that explanation and questioned why the government is so desperate to sell LIC at any price. In fact, the centre conceded that the lower offering is targeted at domestic investors, as foreign institutional investors have withdrawn from the market.
Stabilizing market condition, reducing volatility. That's why we actually postponed this issue from March. There have been, FIIs have, if they have withdrawn, the domestics have filled in. What is really a good time in the market? And if you really ask anybody, nobody can actually predict the markets. And one of the reasons why, we went down from 5% to 3.5 is that, okay, even if we have a little bit of a constrained environment, we can still will pull it off.
The Life Insurance Corporation of India.
LIC is the world's 5th largest insurer with 10.8 million policyholders. The LIC boss says the government will decide on how up to 25% of its shares could be offered over the next 5 years, which is mandatory. The response from the policyholders is encouraging, he adds.
Government will have to say, they are more to answer this query than me. But that's something, as I told you, may not happen very quickly. But PAN, I think more than 2 crore policyholders have, indicated and given their PAN numbers.
LIC is a mega divestment push, but the question is, can the government keep up the momentum even with the new reduced target? The government says LIC is just one of the areas where divestment is taking place. Will the LIC IPO be able to overcome the challenges of the current market situation, which has a reduced appetite for IPOs? With its unique position, will the LIC IPO be able to swim against the tide and reverse the trend that big IPOs have seen in the past few months? The LIC boss says he's confident of that happening and says everyone is praying. Let's hope the gods listen. In Mumbai with camera person Praveen Ji Rohit, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Well, those were the highlights of the LIC IPO coming up next week. And now some proud news for NDTV. NDTV's Gen Next win big at Media Awards. In fact, Gargi, 5 big wins for NDTV.
Right, a very proud moment. NDTV's Arvind Gunasekhar won the E4M 40 Under 40 award. NDTV's Mariam Alvi and Arun Singh also won an award. Parmeshwar Bawa wins the Journalism Award. And NDTV's Ratnadeep Chaudhary also won an award last night. All right, so a very proud moment there for NDTV. With that, time for us to slip into a short break.
And on the other side, all the IPL action from last night. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Time to get you a check on the weather. Well, the temperature is going to rise further by almost 2 degrees as far as the maximum temperature is concerned in most parts of the country, including northwest India. Well, also when we talk about heatwave conditions that are prevailing at the moment in Vidarbha, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, they're likely to last over the next 5 days. Heatwave today expected in parts of Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, interiors of Gangetic, West Bengal, as well as interiors of Odisha, and those conditions to last till the 30th of April. Heatwave to persist over Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, which is likely to last till about the 1st of May, and then some respite expected as far as Chhattisgarh is concerned. Heatwave conditions till the 30th, and in Bihar, heatwave conditions till Friday. While heatwave conditions are prevailing in most parts of the country, whether it's central, east or even the northern part of the country, the temperatures are 42 to 44 degrees over West Rajasthan as well as Vidarbha, 40 to 42 degrees over Delhi, East Rajasthan, as well as the temperatures are between 40 to 42 degrees in East UP, Madhya Maharashtra. When we talk about a heatwave condition today, so we have heatwave conditions also in Gujarat, which are likely to abate soon, but heatwave conditions from tomorrow in most parts, including parts of Odisha. And a dust storm is expected in parts of Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, West Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan, which could lead to a thunderstorm as well. That's expected tomorrow. Let's take into account some of the temperatures. Wardha coming in at 45 degrees, Akola at 44.8. We have parts of Madhya Pradesh also almost 45 degrees. Then we have Varanasi coming in at 44.4, Jaisalmer at 44.3. Close on the heels is Ahmedabad at 44.2, Churu at 44, Agra almost 44 degrees, Anantapur coming in at 42.4, Delhi 41.5. But as far as the national capital is concerned, the temperature is only likely to get, in fact, it's going to get even hotter over the coming 2 days. Dehradun coming in at 38 degrees, Kangra 7 degrees more than it should be at this point in time at 37.1. Srinagar is up by 5 degrees, Nainital up by 4, and then we have Shimla 5 degrees above the norm. Mussoorie coming in at 26.7, Dalhousie 3 degrees more than it should be, Gulmarg as well 4 degrees warmer than usual for this time of the year. Let's take into account the national capital, where heatwave conditions are likely today as well. Now at 43 degrees is what the mercury levels are likely to shoot up in the course of the day, 4 degrees more than it should be. Then also by tomorrow, the temperature will increase even further, go up to about 44 degrees today, that we can expect on Friday as well as Saturday. By Sunday, some respite, and that's because of a dust storm or a thunderstorm, which is on the cards. Now, heatwave conditions across the country are affecting lives and livelihood in multiple ways, from low wheat crop yield in Punjab to the closure of schools due to power cuts. My colleagues Alok Pandey and Mohammad Ghazali bring us this report.
Soaring temperatures in many parts of India and no respite likely soon. In Punjab, where the temperature today was 40 to 42 degrees, and will rise by a further 2% in the next 2-3 days, the big worry is the wheat harvest. Major Singh, an elderly farmer in Moga, says the unprecedented heat has coincided with the harvest season, and this has led to shriveled grain and an almost 5% reduction in yield per hectare. A cumulative loss of 10 to 15,000 rupees for farmers like him.
50 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਖੇਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰੇ ਮਾਰਾ ਝਾੜ ਦੀ ਵੱਧ ਪਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਗਰਮੀ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਤੇ ਤੇਲ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਹਿੰਗਾ ਸੀ 15-16,000 ਰੁਪਇਆ ਖਰਚਾ ਵੀ ਕਿੱਲੇ ਮਗਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਣਕ ਦਾ
The Punjab government says average wheat yield has fallen to 43 quintals per hectare this year, down from 48.68 quintals per hectare last year, and the lowest in the last 5 years.
ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਲਾਈਏ ਇਹ ਮੌਸਮ ਦੇ ਡਿਪੈਂਡ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟਾਰਗੇਟ ਹੈ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ 30 ਤੋਂ 32% ਘੱਟ ਹੋਇਆ.
The intense heat is affecting other aspects of life too. Most districts in Odisha have temperatures well over 40 degrees, 5 degrees more than normal in some parts. And so schools and Anganwadis, both essential for child nutrition and both already badly affected by COVID, have shut till month end. In UP, the searing heat has led to massive power cuts, especially in small towns and rural areas, like Hardoi, at 41 degrees today, 2.5 degrees more than normal, where the lights were out all day at this government school.
लाइट के ना आने से तो बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत होती है और खासकर जिस समय बच्चे एमडीएम के बाद खाना खाने के बाद पानी पीते हैं तो उस समय जो मोटर न चलने से पानी टंकी भर रहता नहीं है और क्योंकि हैंडपाइप की व्यवस्था है तो उसमें एक हैंडपाइप में और ढेर सारे बच्चे आ जाते हैं तो बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत होती है। इसके लिए लाइट के ना आने से उधर कमरों में जो पंखे भी नहीं चलते हैं, बच्चे गर्मी में हैं वो अपना नहीं है तो दफ्ती या किताब से पंखा करते रहते हैं।
There appears to be no respite in sight anywhere from these soaring temperatures. The temperatures in Delhi are expected to touch 46 degrees in the coming days according to the Met Department. The heatwave in Punjab and Haryana is expected to continue till the first week of May. With Mohammad Ghazali, Mohammad Asif and camera person Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Temperatures to rise further, 44 degrees this week in most parts of the north, as well as going up to about almost 46 degrees in the coming week. With that, we're slipping in a very short break. Lots more coming up on the other side. Stay with us.